I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence to let them in, chalk up their body, another one body, that's just how it go. I got some secrets, I'm shaking the game so they stay on their toes. Stay in your lane, I to stay on the go. I came to play with the pros and act like a rookie, so they overlook me, then I double up again, none of their nose. None of them cold, they just got lucky but never adapted, so I'm to the one if it's coming to blows. My enemies cutting it close, I let them think that they got me, but what do you know? I had them beat before we ever spoke, I'm ready for smoke.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Startup on the Blocks. We're got getting kicked off for the first day of September here, and we're going to invite John up here. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm great. And yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Excited for another event. This is our 101st event in the last 2 years, so
Absolutely.
pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
So let's do a little quick shout out to our sponsors, so we can get that out the way. And we wouldn't be able to um, host these events without the financial support and partnerships with the different sponsors and everything. So, of course,
Absolutely.
Florida Power and Light, they're sponsor Lean Stack Training. So that's a pretty neat deal. And Innisfree Hotel, the First Bank, they've sponsored our 4 pitch competitions, and the chambers have supported pitch competition winners with free chamber memberships. And Bantucola has been a great streaming partner, streaming our events out there to social media. You know, Chris, he's really dedicated for doing that kind of stuff. And he's also offers our pitch competition winners, premium spots in his Black Business Directory.
Hmm.
And collab, Pat Rooney, he's hopefully, I think he's going to be in the audience tonight. He's collab. They provided some consulting, several hours of consulting to our last pitch contest winners, and of course we work with the Small Business Development Center as well. Alrighty, so Didi Takesha Sanogo, we were expecting to have her on tonight, and so her plane got delayed, so we're going to push her out to September 22nd. But we look forward to her coming on and giving an update on some of her success with her business. But tonight we got you, John, to kind of tell us some stuff about your journey. So we're looking forward to hearing that as well. But let's first do some stuff with. With the startup on the box, and these are some of our future guests that are coming up. So John, I think so. Let's say Deanna, she's coming up next week, and she actually has a nonprofit, but it's a tech nonprofit where she's actually scaling out her program to Black women in STEM in college. So that's a big story to see how a nonprofit acts like a startup, and get their stuff out there. And I guess did you meet with Robert for at Gus launch, or did you meet with somebody else?
No, I didn't. I didn't meet with Robert.
Okay, so you talked with somebody else with Gus.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So Robert is going to come on and give us a little demo next week as well, so folks can understand, the proper way to get your company formed and everything. And then toward the end of the month, we have some folks from the Boss Startup Sites, and they've actually created a entrepreneur training program, John.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, and what's neat about their program, and I guess we'll get a chance to use it as well. But when you're filling out the applications for some of these opportunities or to get in, they also have an application thing that's part of where, like, we can use that. Our companies, pitch competition sponsors, accelerator sponsors, will use that application that they have to host applications. And one of the unique things about their application thing, if you don't know how to answer a question, it gives you a tutorial on how to answer the question. Isn't that neat?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're filling out these applications, you don't know you don't understand the questions. Yeah, so you and I were talking about this lean stack stuff yesterday, and
Hmm.
what were you saying about Jessica getting in a program?
Yeah, she is a part of a program at Cornell University,
Okay,
and they're actually utilizing it's a business development training program for Black women that's
okay,
being offered by Cornell University. And what they do is they use the lean stack methodology as well as a facilitator. Now that's being sponsored by the Bank of America in partnership with Cornell University.
okay,
So it's a 3-month program, 12-week program. And it takes them through every part of the lean stack methodology in order to build out their enterprise and their
Yeah.
model. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's the same Lean Stack program that we have, and so in the but you said something that caught my attention. You said that they did that in conjunction with Bank America.
Yeah, Bank of America. Bank of America is actually putting up the money
Okay.
and giving it to Cornell. Cornell then hired a facilitator to actually do the walkthrough in each component. Now they still have to, from what I understand, go through the videos, just
Yeah.
like everybody else has to with Lean Stack. The help meet is that they actually have a facilitator that's walking that with them as well.
Yeah, that's right. But so this is the reason why I mentioned Bank of America is we were talking about the money that these banks and these companies set aside for Black and Brown founders. So when you said Bank of America, that made me think about, I can't remember if it was $1 billion they set aside for Black over a certain number of years. That's an example how they would spend the money.
Yeah.
You
It's
see what
$1
I'm saying?
billion. I think they did it over a 10-year period.
Okay. Yeah. So you, I guess, and so what I'm saying is Cornell University got some of that money they put set aside for that. That's an example how the money goes out to these different programs. But I think the part that's really interesting is, and the reason why we started Startup on the Blocks is we want to teach you the best practices. So when you put in an application to get in these programs, you can actually get in. Because a lot of them are looking for, like in that case, they were looking for Black women. Another one might be looking for Black men, but you still have to, know how to, write up your application to be a good candidate to get in. So
yeah, the interesting thing about it, Lord, they turned theirs into a certificate program. So they actually, the women who complete the program ultimately have to, and they have assignments that they have to turn in. So they treat it like a real course that you'll be going through at Cornell University. And it's a certificate program, a 3-month certificate program.
Yeah, and so that's exactly right. And so when we launch our 12-week thing later this month, it's actually we're gonna do entrepreneurship and small business certificate thing with our certification actually. And
That's
so
good.
so that's the approach that we're going to use. But I wanted to so when you look at this chart we got here, and it's basically talking about the journey of a founder, going through all these different phases, and so the so it's just a person has to realize if they want to be a startup founder, it is a journey. It's not just something you can become a founder immediately, but you just initiating the journey, to kind of move forward. And this chart is meant to kind of explain the journey. And Ash Murray, who runs Lean Stack and who invented the Lean Canvas, this is how he describes the journey. So you get an idea, and then you have to kind of develop that mindset for a founder, but then you have to learn how to design a business model for that idea, and that business model is actually what you pitch. And so you can this particular part, you can do this in like 30 days. And the 12-week program Jessica is in is this part right here where you're actually doing this validation. You actually validating your business model during this phase. And you can see it's actually a long period. And this curve here is actually a money curve. So, yeah. But you can see as your idea takes hold, and customers like your solution, and you're in the right marketplace, you can really over time have some really exponential growth, and that's what that curve is all about. But it starts with the mindset. You got to get that right mindset.
Absolutely.
But when you say this startup stuff is like a pivot from the traditional idea of a traditional small business.
Oh, absolutely. I think it starts with the idea, because most of the, even though it's applicable to all different types of business types and business models, I think the technology-based business, or the ones that are easily scalable, is
Yes.
really what it's driven towards, and those are mostly technology-based businesses.
Yes.
So driving us towards more technology-based business and less brick and mortar style businesses, where the overhead in many cases is not sustainable,
Mhm.
because it doesn't weather the economic climates that we've seen. So, but when you have a technology-based business, you're able to actually sustain a little bit better, no matter what the economic climate is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so and this is, to me, this mindset is the hardest thing. Part of it is because you're so used to, I got to go out and get a loan, I got to find a
Absolutely.
building, and then when with the startup ecosystem, and do a tech enabled company, and almost any kind of product or service still has to be tech enabled. So you just have to be willing to pivot to this founder mindset. And so the beauty of this chart is that you as an individual are a founder, and then if as this training that, like you're saying, Jessica is going through for 3 months, that's just skills and best practices. And
Mhm.
then, but once you get those skills and learn those best practices, there's a whole ecosystem out there that has all these opportunities that you can take advantage of. The thing that's
Mhm.
standing between you and like the pitch contest Pharrell got going on, and
Mhm.
they're going to have the actual pitch contest in Miami next month. They
Mhm.
give away over $1 million. You have to be able to pitch your idea in a clear and concise fashion just to even get in the program. you know,
Mhm.
and the training. So, and that one, I have a friend that I'm in a huddle with each Monday. He his company, and he's actually a one man company, so he actually made it to the semifinals.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but once you make it to the semifinals, you're gonna be assigned a mentor, and they're gonna help you get prepared to win the pitch competition.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love it. I love
yeah.
it. I
But there are
love
a
it.
lot of activities going on for Black and Brown founders over the next few months, and this is
Well,
also.
we've been true testaments to the idea that mindset was so essential to the process,
Hmm.
because we too had to go through the process of building out our mindset to help deal with the new realities of business development and growth.
Hmm.
So going from the traditional model where we were just self-funders for all of our business activities and so forth and so on, but
Hmm.
the necessity now to actually look for how you look for investment outside of the traditional model, going to a bank and asking for the bank to give us loans, which for African American entrepreneurs has been a very tall mountain to climb for us.
For sure, for
So
sure.
this actually opens the corridor for more people to not only see your potential, but actually be a part of your potential
Right,
through investment.
and just observing you evolve from the idea stage,
Mhm.
all the way to a product or service, and where you're out there making money. So our playbook is literally, this first thing is the mindset.
Mhm.
Learn the lean startup methodology, and we had this enrolled in this startup school. Um, but so I recommend doing that in addition to the training, our lean stack training. But because Y Combinator has been out there doing this stuff for 15 years or more, and so it's just they have some good stuff out there. But
Mhm.
this F success, what that's all about is people, that's a founder site, so founders can actually share their journey as they make progress through that. And so what I tell people a lot of times, that your profile, your personal profile and business profile on this site is literally like your credit when you apply for a loan, the profile is used to get you a lot of freebies to help you kind of move forward. Now
Mhm.
this participate in local startup communities and attend these weekly events. This one, like I've networked with several people this week, and in one case I found out about a product, Kakua Institute could use that we don't have to pay anything for it, and that's just was through a conversation. But if I hadn't been networking, I wouldn't have actually found out that. And, and so when you talk to other founders, you see what stuff they're doing, and maybe there's something that that you might be beneficial to you to move you forward, or something like that. But yeah, and see, we had Brandon on last week, and he, we had talked to him twice already, and he was giving his update because he got accepted to TechStars, and so so that's additional raise for his stuff. But come to find out, John, he used the Gus launch platform to launch his thing.
Absolutely.
And so all the other times we were chatting with him, we actually didn't actually know that, and so, but that's why I said you have to talk to people, in order to kind of move forward. And it's truly amazing the stuff you can actually find out about that you don't know that can help you move forward. And that's why we have these events, is so you can network with other founders and other people out in the ecosystems, and just kind of get ideas, to move on. That I don't know.
Lloyd, you're mentioning something that I think is essential, that we really have to make sure that we really push to founders, which is the idea of networking and relationship building.
Yeah,
it literally is essential. Just like you just said, you were having a conversation with someone, and from there you understood that there were product services that Kakua could take advantage of in the space. Without the conversation, without the relationship, without the attempt at real networking, that would not have occurred.
Yeah,
so being confident and competent enough to get out and relationship build and network. A lot of these things will continue to be mysteries to us.
Yeah. And so like, when I look at our nonprofit and even my for-profit company, it's been taking advantages of stuff that's out there. And that's what the networking actually gives you access to information and best practices that other people are having success with. I could talk about that forever. So through networking, it's just like a lot of the resources. The reason why we can actually do stuff for founders is because we're actually leveraging free resources.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the idea is. And so, like, and lastly, we sent out that newsletter, but the newsletter with all these opportunities, it doesn't do, you can't take advantage of the opportunities if you don't know how to fill out the application correctly, but just learning the best practices so you can actually move forward. And we're going to keep trying to strengthen how we serve the founders out there, and keep everything really interesting. But this is kind of what our approach is now. We take some person that's thinking about starting a business or has an idea, or ran into a problem in something they bought recently. They think they can do it better, or a small business that's been in business a while, and they have an idea or something to prove the type of business they're in. We can literally help them go from that idea to just and teach them to help them learn the best practices through that lean stack training. That's what this first stuff is up here. This mindset stuff, business model design, and business validation stuff. And then we also have some tools that we can, that the founders can actually use at no charge. And then our weekly newsletters would have that has all the opportunity. And when I say there are a lot of opportunities out there, and that's what this thing right here is, it's just too numerous, to even mention. If you just I wish you could see my inbox with all the things that people want you to participate in, all the programs that out there. there are probably 100 events for Black and Brown founders between now and the end of the year. Conferences, pitch competitions, you name it, accelerator programs. It's really a lot of stuff out there. Let's see here. Yep, and our mentors, basically, help the founders, and get them connected to the things that they need. And so once you get involved, we can hook you up with them. Mentoring. So John, you've been mentoring some folks, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Continue to do so. Every opportunity I get to help someone, we're going to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll shift here a minute, and later on we may come back to this, lean stack stuff if we have time. But the bottom line is the training is there to help you understand what the best practices are, the playbooks, the tools, and you just have to hop on board and use them. And so you and I were looking at that traction roadmap that where you actually model your business and to see if it's viable. So you thought that was pretty neat, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Having an interface that you can bounce your adjustments off of is important. Being able to see where you are in the process is important as well. So, the mentorship, you can't get past the mentorship as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a requirement.
It is.
And I think we need to get to the space where and it's back to the relationships and the networking and how important it is. That's one of the ways that you're going to connect to someone that could possibly be a mentor to you and your aspirational goals of being a large scale business, if that's what it is, or just a successful business from whatever purview you're viewing success. We want it to be a business that was consequential to every learner.
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to do that, there are certain things that we needed to do, certain due diligences that were required, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't lickety split. So the idea that, we have this get rich quick mentality sometimes, and it burns you out, and you're not prepared for the long haul that in many cases success requires.
Yeah, just knowing what the journey could looks like and have an idea of what a typical journey is helps you kind of keep focused and stable and not, and understand that it is a journey and it does take time. So,
That's right.
so you and Jessica, you all, launched Edgeosity and started working on that. But, what is Edgeosity and why did you think there was a need for it?
Well, Edgeosity is an education technology firm that was built to create new ways of delivering education technology to urban communities. We really needed a new interface that was controlled, that was developed by people who looked like the students we were trying to reach. A lot of the problem with the disconnect with children in the classroom is that much of the curriculums, much of the established protocols for teaching core subject areas is not developed by Black people, by African Americans. So because we deal with students who are the byproduct of these curriculums, who are the byproducts of many of the school systems around the country, we got a chance to see the shortcomings. So our idea was to create a new interface that could help them, that could be a support system, not to replace traditional classroom models, but to support what they were learning in the classroom. So that's how we came up with our initial ideas. And mind you, Lloyd, this goes back years.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure people understand this is a part of the due diligence that we've done very early on, a part of the competencies that we developed. And the more competent we became, the more confident we became as well that we could actually do and create this large scale business. So that's really where we started.
Yeah. So your so it sounds like you're saying that, you got these kids in the classroom, and you got, these black kids in the classroom, and you know, the normal classroom stuff, it wasn't geared toward them. But um, so 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 are you working with students that are falling behind, or what's the deal there?
No, we're
So who?
working with all students. We're working with all students, and we created more of a Montessori type of system,
Okay.
Lloyd. What we understood was that through marketing, just like with everything else, education had become disconnected from the even the students that they were supposed to be supporting. So the education system itself wasn't connected to the students.
Hmm.
So because of that, the students were rejecting the learning, even though we know that the learning is a necessity.
Okay.
So we created a student that was a product that was applicable to every student learner. Whether you were a black student or a white student or otherwise, you could take advantage of what we created. Now, the
Hmm.
system that we created was called micro content courses. So what our idea was to break down curriculum into smaller pieces and present them through a cohesive system. So the system basically interconnected all subject areas. So no matter what a student wanted to learn, whether they were catching up and they had a deficiency, or whether they wanted to get ahead and create new proficiencies, we wanted a system that they could connect to learn. That is what micro content courses is.
Yeah. So typically, or so would they be using your program after school, before school, during school? Just give us an idea
Yeah,
about
at all times. A teacher could actually tell their students to go to micro content courses in the classroom. Students should be able to use micro content courses on the bus stop, at home, on vacation, or otherwise. It is the evolution of learning as we know it from the virtual standpoint.
that.
But
Okay.
again, it's meant to support classroom learning because we do believe that classroom learning is still a very, very important asset as pertains to the whole learning of the student that includes the personal and interpersonal development of the child. So that's
But
where we started.
yeah. So why would a school want to use your stuff? Because this is what's interesting is, so the schools, they have lesson plans, they have the subject. So now you're saying that the approach they're using to deliver that stuff may not be the best approach, so that kids are not learning fast enough. So what's motivating them to want to use your product or service?
Well, the primary thing is all the teachers, administrators know that what they're using is not working.
Hmm.
They can
Okay.
see it on a daily basis that it's not working, and the students are falling further and further behind. So the question was, well, what could we create that was interactive, that was engaging, that was flexible enough and agile enough on the technology side that it kept the students' attention?
Okay.
Okay, so that they actually could learn, because we realize that there's a deficit in attention span as well with students in K through 12 learning. So what we created was a system that wasn't interdependent on holding their attention for extended periods of time, but could support them in the areas that they needed right then.
Okay. Okay.
So what drew school districts to us? Well, first of all, I think we don't understand enough about the aesthetics of learning. Okay, and one of the things that we started learning in when we developed our theoretical framework for our product was that multicultural learning, from the traditional vantage point, wasn't enough. It didn't give us enough, as classrooms all over the country were experiencing droughts with reference to black teachers, black male teachers in particular, but that represent less than 2% of
Mhm.
teachers. We created a system by which we could fortify black male participation in virtually every subject area.
Okay.
So we didn't build our system in a vacuum. We built our system with the support of teachers, principals, students, and parents. And that interface and all of that knowledge is what built our system. So micro content courses started with this small idea, but it grew to be this huge interface that ultimately we knew we needed to pack.
Okay. Okay. Good. So, like a lot of times, like as a founder, when you're trying to get co-founders, you're trying to get software developers, you're trying to get into a pitch competition, you're trying to get into a program that can connect you with customers or connect you with help. So like if so when you think about the user experience for your product and so like take us through um I'm trying to think of what's the best way to ask this question. So your customer acquisition. So like let's say you, who who do you approach to get your product, and then once they get their product, how does the teacher or student use your product? So just kind of help us understand what that experience is like.
Well, the first thing we did was we went through our network and relationships and connected to superintendents and principals and otherwise who had the ability to say yes.
Okay.
We demonstrated the prototype of the product to them.
Okay.
And from there, we got them to say, hey, do you think your students and the student learners in your school district would be interested in using something like this?
Okay.
Now, our interface, because user interface was so important to us, the user experience was so important to us, we understood that, hey, we needed to overcome the aesthetic challenge that would keep students from even wanting to participate in your program. So we understood that it needed to be culturally adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to be able to look like the students who we were calling ourselves wanting to teach and wanting to touch.
Mm-hmm.
We also knew that we needed to have a mechanism that could market education to students in the same way we market shoes, the same way we market clothes and we market music.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever thought about how do we market education and how do we make education more fair seeming to the students who would be the consumers of it. So we understood that, and that's one of the reasons why we built our system where we have the avatars and we have all of the usable interfaces. The interactivity within the product was so important for us. So that user experience was high on us. That's one of the reasons why we chose the team that we did to help build our technology.
Yeah. So like let's say the principal, the superintendent, or whoever they want the product. So 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 how do the teachers and the students get access to your product or service?
Well, the only thing we're doing right now is the student, each school within a school district
Okay.
will receive a key.
Okay.
And from that key, every student that's within that school district through an interface will be able to be imported, and each student would get a login and a registration number.
Okay.
Okay. And from there, their experience can begin just by them going to their phones or their laptops or their desktops. They now will have their first interface with the system, which is the creation of their avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Their avatar will be their guide through the utilization of micro content. And then they can change that up and they can use that in a multiplicity of ways to keep them engaged with the process.
Okay. Gotcha.
That will be the way it starts in the beginning.
Yeah. And so what does your revenue model look like for something like that?
Well, right now we are we are business to school.
Okay.
We have not moved from business to parents as the primary consumers. Right now, our primary consumers are school districts.
Okay.
We eventually will move where parents that are not connected directly to school districts, such as private schools and otherwise homeschool students, will also be able to take advantage of the courses. Our primary thing, because it's such an adept and adaptable system. Now, mind you, what we built is not like anything else that you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, and because of that, I know some parents, some teachers will be tempted to try to use the system as a standalone, but it wasn't created to be a standalone system.
Mm-hmm.
It was meant to be a cohort to the classroom,
Gotcha.
an accompanying piece to the classroom.
Yeah. So so let me see if I get it right. So like in a pitch, if you were doing a demo part of your pitch, you would say, um, uh, we connect with the school districts and we demo our whatever our product, and then we if they decide to buy it, the teachers or the school would get a key or whatever, and then you would import the students to log on there, and then they could use it 24/7. And then what you have to say in the rest of your pitch is, for each student we get this much per year, and then the person you're pitching to, or the investor you're pitching to, they understand how you make money.
I think on our end, because of the way we worked our investment strategy and our strategies
Hmm.
toward developing um, uh, investors with all that we had, we came to the table
Hmm.
with 12 school districts.
Okay.
So now that was a totally unique approach to developing capacity and customer development. It was neat. Nobody had ever really done it that way before. A product was actually developed and it was on the street. Actually going out and demonstrating that the school districts had never really been ever done.
Hmm.
So I think on one end, schools were surprised when we tell them, listen, our product is $500 per student per year.
Hmm. So my point was, so like in your so let's say you in a 3-minute pitch competition,
Mhm.
so you have to walk when, so like after you describe after you tell what your solution is, you walk through how a person would use it, and that's kind of like the demo. And so I was trying to get to the point of how quickly can you kind of in a matter of 30 seconds just walk through, the school with the district would decide to buy it, the the school would get a key or whatever, and then we report the students in there, and then for each student, that gets in there, we generate, 500, dollars per year. You see
Yeah,
what I'm
for
saying?
us, it was a little bit different, Lloyd, and primarily because we started on the front side with the user experience
Hmm.
for the administration.
Yeah,
Once you see the interface,
yeah.
once you get into the system, within 2 to 3 minutes, you already know you want it.
Well,
And see,
so the
yeah,
point
so
of,
it was easier for us to talk about, hey, this is the system. After
mhm,
you've seen the system, their next question was, how much is this going to cost us to get this for a student? And it's
yeah,
$500 per student. And we explained
yeah,
to them what they get for that
right.
$500 per student.
Right. So I'm backing up from that. So this is not pitching to the school district. This is
Mhm.
pitching to get in Pharrell's $1 million pitch competition. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right, right, right.
so
Mhm.
so what? How do that's what I want the audience to understand. You have to, even though your product may not be built yet, you have to walk somebody through how the customer would acquire it and how they would use it,
Absolutely, absolutely.
how you make money with it. That's the purpose of the question, to kind of help the audience, because like, because you got to remember, you start pitching your idea. Like, let's say like you go through the business model design, and you come up with the way to pitch your idea. So you haven't even started building it yet, and now you
Mhm.
still got to pitch it as if you had it and somebody's using it. So
That's
you
right.
still say, we approach the school districts to and demo our product. They and most of them, they love it. So, and since, so this is the other key part of your thing. So you told how much it costs, but the thing that the investor may not know, or the pitch competition or the accelerated program may not know, they may not know that each school, for middle school or high school, the school district may get like 7 grand or whatever per student. So you see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So our funding comes out of that allocation. Is the
Mhm.
money's already there. The school doesn't have to come up with the money. And
Yeah.
so you see what I'm saying? It's just showing the person that you're trying to raise money from, or trying to get in a training
Mhm.
program. You have to kind of pull all that stuff together, and in a real concise manner. So in the pitch, you know, you do your high level thing about your product in the beginning. You talk about the problem. and and how big the problem is, and then this is the solution we came up with, and then this is how a customer would get our product and use it, and this is what the other competition is doing, and we this, and we have this advantage, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's how you kind of get through that pitch. But like when you talk about the money, so there's no question about how you make money.
Yeah, I think when we're going through a pitch competition, as it were, there's going to be a different structure to our presentation than our one-on-ones. Now, we acquired all of our school districts from one-on-ones, where I can present, for instance, due diligence was done, and I know exactly how much you're allocating per student in your school district. I know exactly how much you're allocating per student. And then in turn, I can then interpret that on a percentage wise of how much of that per student allocation would be required for your students to participate with micro content courses. We're making it where ultimately every learner is going to be using micro content courses in the next few years. And I do mean, and we structured the financial piece where it was plausible that could occur.
And so where are you now, and like what's your next kind of like milestone?
Well, at this point, after a raise of $500,000, our total goal was $1.6 million. Putting those pieces together, those last pieces together, our effort is to be in school running the beta testing in January of 2023. We're about 6 months behind in that advancement. But those delays have actually helped us on the technology side. Because we're able to actually bring in some other features for the to-market software that would not have been there otherwise. So it makes it even more plausible for those school districts to actually come on board.
And so, that's why I was having that discussion with you about that pitch, because the sooner that potential who offers the rest of the raise you're trying to do, the sooner they understand how you make money, the sooner they gotta write you that check. And so that's why you have to kind of walk them through that little scenario, like I'm saying, and it becomes so clear, that's kind of, and there's no, because you don't leave anything to doubt, that you're, and really it's like you selling your business model, and then what the product, how good it is, your traction is what demonstrates that. So if you've got people that like your product, you don't have to worry about telling the investor how good it is.
That's right.
That's how they measure how good your product is, how much traction you got.
Well, it helps when you can walk in the room and say, I've done a third of my raise without any real effort. It helps when you can walk in the room and say that. So we're hoping to close on that 1.1 million in the next 45 days. Because a lot of people don't realize sometimes with funding, it actually takes, even when you've been let the funding outside of the apprenticeship programs, outside of the accelerator programs, sometimes with investment, it may take 30 to 120 days of due diligence in order to actually get the money. So there is effort to go there, but there is a tremendous amount of money out there. And my encouragement is to do your due diligence and go get it. Now, we came to the table with support, had done a tremendous amount of customer acquisition. In the next year, if we close on all of the students that are in our customer pipeline, we're looking at about 539,000 students. So for us, as a Black company that's created this brand new technology, that's a huge deal. It really puts us on the forefront as being one of the largest ed tech companies in the United States, especially with a new model. But mind you, that's one of the reasons why we took our time. It took us almost 4 years for our patent.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey to secure what we had was a journey in and of itself that's included in the long journey of building out micro-content courses, the curriculum. So the curriculum is broken down into English, mathematics, social studies, and science.
Mm-hmm.
So a student would need but log into the system, and once they're in, they can actually choose their pathway. And the system is so self-explanatory that from the youngest to the oldest of students can actually use it.
Yeah. So I think you definitely on your way, and I definitely appreciate you sharing the journey stuff. And because there is a lot of pieces to the journey, and but the main thing is from helping the audience a little bit, and ask any question you want out in the audience, because really it doesn't matter what phase or where you are, there is opportunity for help you get to the next phase. And so like in this fundraising phase where you are, this raise phase where you are now, John, it's important, for the audience to kind of understand, what type of communications has to occur in order to get somebody to say they're gonna write a check or whatever.
Yeah. We went through several layers of communication, Lloyd. We created everything from video brochures. I mean, show you what that looks like. We created video brochures that actually went out to school districts. And now this is a journey in and of itself, and that school district would receive this, and they just simply open it up, and an actual video presentation or a pitch occurs right inside of this process. So this is just one of the pieces of the journey. The second layer of that was going directly to what we already had, which were built-in relationships and networks that we built up over the years. It helped that you have those things, and what you have to do is you have to learn how to utilize them properly. That is a journey in of itself, to understand how best to use what's right in front of you. The first step is to recognize you do have something in front of you that you can use.
Gotcha.
And the second thing is, well, how do I use it in a manner that's consistent with building up a strong company? So the other piece that I'd like to add is that is to prepare your company to be investable. That's something that even we, after all of our years in business, did not necessarily understand. And what we mean by that is developing your company. Delaware-based companies, corporations are right now at the forefront of the most investable companies. So, Lloyd, when you're talking about the Gus.com program, the launch program out of Gus.com, that is probably one of the cleanest ways to do it, and probably the least expensive right now. We've spent a significant amount of money on attorneys and otherwise, but showing your audience, this is our patent, and you get an opportunity to see some of the things and some of the due diligences that we've done in order to be awarded our patent, which opened the corridor for a whole lot of other things, including the funding.
Yes,
the relationships.
Yes, we've Carlos, we'll get to your question here in a second, but since you showed the patent, you were telling me earlier that your lawyers were saying that you all were the first Black, customers that they had that actually had received the patent. But
they actually received their patent, in 25-year history, and primarily it's because of the money. It's not because we don't have great ideas. It's not that sometimes we don't follow through. It's just that when you're dealing with the patent office and the back and forward and the consistent flow of money that's necessary for you to receive your patent, sometimes that fight, we run out of money and we have not the backdrop of support to help us stay in that fight. And I think that's the primary reason, not that we don't have great ideas and not that we're not making the effort toward getting patents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what one thing I wanted to mention about that, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't checked to see if they're still doing it, but the patent office, they had a program that they did at certain sites, like in New Orleans. I'm not sure if they did it in Atlanta or not, but if you were a startup, you could actually go in there and they would help you with getting your patent file and everything. But I want the audience to know too, like if there is a nonprofit organization that if and they will help you if your income meets their criteria, they will actually help you with putting your patent paperwork together as well. So the so that so but so if you're I don't know what that number is, the income number is, but there are some other options. And then we had a mirror on a few months ago, and she was an example of a person that had came up with an idea and she didn't know it was patentable, and so and she's in Atlanta, so they were the patent out of some patent lawyers. They had a nonprofit, and they invited people to come down to see if they had an idea that was patentable. And so when she got down there, they told her idea was patentable, and so all she had to do was pay the $100 and whatever fee, and they put it on the paperwork, and she got a patent.
Well, that's that's a lot. Well, there's so much that goes into the creation of a patent, from the drawings and otherwise that you have to have in place. That's wonderful. We really needed something really technical for ours. And we really really wanted to cover ourselves, because we knew that the larger companies that are in the space, and all the large companies are in the space, would be coming after a company like ours from the get-go, So we knew that. So we just wanted to protect ourselves. And I encourage everyone to do their due diligence, even as they're talking to patent attorneys. There's so much information out there, YouTube videos and otherwise, that are out there that can help you in the process. Do not be afraid to ask questions and go from there.
Right. And so my thing is money is definitely a challenge with everything. And so that's what I love about the startup ecosystem. You got all these organizations and these entities in there, and it could be anything from patent lawyers or whatever, to kind of help you with what you're doing. So you have to be willing to Google and search and network and find out what is available and what not is available. And so let me get to Carlos' question here. I think I can. So do you still want to have a revenue model in your nonprofit pitch? So Carlos, I guess this must be thinking about doing a nonprofit. So right now there are programs for tech nonprofits, and they have accelerator programs and stuff like that. And I've been trying to get in one with Cocoa Institute for the past year and a half, almost 2 years. And so like if you can pitch a good revenue model for that, it's fast forward, they give you 25 grand and take you through training, but it's no different than a revenue model for a company. So the young lady that we got coming on next week, Diana, her nonprofit, Black Sis, Sisters in STEM, she actually just got out of that program where they awarded her nonprofit 25 grand, and she and I were actually that same organization. They have every so often they get some corporate people and they help mentor you on how to pitch your idea or your nonprofit. So we were actually in the same training thing about a month and a half, 2 months ago, where we were getting coaching on how to pitch what our nonprofit does in order to get to raise money. So I hope that answers your question there, Carlos. Yeah. All righty. So so your update today is that you're in the middle of a raise and you've raised a certain percentage of it, And you also were telling me you all got notified that you are going to get some another patent or whatever.
Yeah, actually, our entire proposition is based on securing not only now but the future,
Hmm.
having a visionary process, especially if you're going to do anything in the technology realm.
Hmm.
You want to not just think about now, you want to think about what the future of your product looks like. That requires, that sometimes requires a team. So one of the things that we have advanced is the whole notion of having an advisory board and having a strong advisory board to actually help build out your business model, not just for now, but for later.
Hmm.
The advisory board and those who you put on your advisory board should have some connection to resources, relationships, all of these further the company's interest. So if you're having advisors and you get people on your company, have them be where they could be helpmeets to the goals of the company. So yeah, that's all a part of it. The furtherance of the patent. Uh, we had other provisions that were still patent pending, and closing on those were paramount for us.
Okay, that's good. And so yeah, so the there uh, one of the things we've been talking about is so we've it's sometimes it's hard for the our founders out there to kind of see the progress that other founders are making, but I so like in the space we're in, you so if you say, well, I'm a startup founder, I'm a startup, so you need to know what's going on in the startup world, and
Mhm.
they got all these events and programs for founders, but if you're not aware of them, you just got to start learning about them. And because there's so many opportunities out there, and we need to take advantage of them. I guess that's the only thing I can say, John.
Well, every time that I turn on for one of the pitch competitions,
Uh-huh.
and I see the level of unique ideas that are out there with reference to what we're working on doing, I continue to be excited. Moving people from just simply idea to creation is what we really need to really continue to push people to let them know that it can be done.
Oh yeah.
Edgeosity wants to stand up as a shining example of the possibilities. I was listening to Jay Z and DJ Khaled's new song, God Did, and he
Hmm.
talks about how they didn't believe in you,
Hmm.
and they didn't think you could make it, but God did, and you have to have that kind of competency, that kind of confidence, and that kind of faith that what you're doing could be actualized. And I
Right.
think that's where we started from. We started from a place of competency, and I'll encourage everyone to ensure that you're competent, you're also confident, but you also recognize that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah.
faith is very, very important in this process for us.
Yes, that's fantastic, and I really appreciate you sharing your the progress, and definitely good luck on finishing out that raise, and
Mhm.
getting that product out there,
Yeah.
and so that's really important, and that's kind of why we bring founders up and to on the show, and then we also bring ecosystem people so you can kind of get a feel for some of the service out there. We had Cox here a few weeks ago, and folks didn't understand that. But so we're trying to build a relationship with Cox, and so they actually have a program for startups, and
Hmm.
it's available here locally. So we want to be one of the first ones to get
Absolutely.
our founders connected to that program, and it's
Absolutely.
about understanding what services that are out there. And
Mhm.
so they have a cloud service for startups, and they also have like a free tier for anybody, but it's a small amount of resources. So if your website or whatever can fit in that small amount of resources, you can have that free for a year. But what
Mhm.
we're after is just as people build their applications, we want them to be able to host them in a cloud service like that for no charge for at least a year or two.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
and that,
one thing I want to leave with, Lloyd, is
yes,
that I want to encourage everyone to go to the
okay,
uspto.gov, and click on the patent search,
okay,
and I want them to go and look at the Pensacola area.
mm-hmm.
One of the there are some really really bright and great people out there. Um, and as we dream about the possibilities for our own companies, especially in the technology realm, it's good to know what's being done around you and
Mm-hmm.
who the people are. So inside of when you do that search, everyone that has a patent in the Pensacola area will come up. And you're going to see some amazing ideas, amazing patents. In fact, some of them you may even recognize them because you see them and use them. You just didn't realize that someone from Pensacola is responsible for those patents. Even
Mm-hmm.
UWF, the IHMC has quite a number of patents that you'll
Mm-hmm.
find there. So, but I would encourage everyone to actually take that journey. I don't, if you haven't ever been up to the uspto.gov before, you should
Mm-hmm.
go up there, take a look, in particular within the Pensacola area, and see what people are doing. It could really inspire some of us to really go out there and create something new.
Okay,
Okay.
fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, before we sign off here, I wanted to just do a little quick review of the lean stack training so people actually understand what that is. So so basically you got this journey that a founder goes on, and you got the so what we are offering the founders out there is access to this business model design, no charge. And what that looks like is you get in there, you get a chance to use the Lean Canvas tool, the Traction Roadmap tool, and the Story Pitch tool. And basically you're trying to make sure your idea is desirable, viable, and feasible. It's literally that simple. And so
Great.
that's the free part that you all have access to. And so I encourage you to do it. So you saw this Traction Roadmap tool, and so John, what it had, like 7 numbers in it that you have,
Yes.
yeah, and you can model your business to see if it's
Mhm.
viable.
And
And
creating the cap table, all of those things are so important within the lean stack. And I
yeah,
encourage the audience to actually take advantage of the lean stack entrepreneur journey.
yeah,
It's very, very important.
yeah. And so here's the little modules you go through on the business model design, but you do the foundation ones first. And believe it or not, this is only like 5 or so hours worth of training. This is less than 5. So if you're saying you don't have time to do it, that you're shooting yourself in the foot. The stuff you learn on how to pitch your idea, to get the co-founders, to get the customers, to get into the acceleration program, the pitch
Mhm.
competition. That's what this part of the training is for. Now, when you get to the part that's we're going to start off later this month. Now you're doing this. You got your business. You design your business model. Now you want to come in and actually be able to, if you haven't built an MVP, build an MVP and get your first, 1 or 2 customers using your product. So, and that's like this 3-month thing that you go through. It's called a validation framework. So in that, you're gonna get a couple more tools to actually use, but you're going to be doing this problem discovery, solution assembly, and figuring out how to deliver an offer, to get that a customer actually can't refuse. And one of the things is called the mafia offer. So it's kind of, yeah, but the deal is, we just want to make sure you're aware that this training is available, and so we'll be putting an announcement out here in the next few days. So here's the training that you go through on that, and it's basically you go through a series of sprints to kind of get through this whole process, and so you can actually be able to start, onboarding customers. And we're going to pull together as many resources as we can for the founders that participate in this. And so let's see. So they're going to be, we're going to do 10 startups, but each startup can have up to 7 people on their team. So if you got some, you can. So it's a really neat opportunity for a lot of people to learn this lean startup methodology. So so we want so we definitely think this is a really great opportunity for our founders and to move forward, to get off ground zero and build something and to move forward. So any other parting words before we get out of here, John?
No, not that I can think of. Generally I'm not a person of sound bites. So, the only thing I can tell you, Lloyd, is that, we really need to expand our belief in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That generally comes with competency development, skill set development.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that, Lloyd, I know a lot of people who are really competent, but
Mm-hmm.
not very confident.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who are really confident that are not very competent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when the two marry that your aspirations can be truly actualized. So my encouragement is due diligence and continued support. We need it. In fact, we need to learn how to really support one another and people who really do have ideas. Figure out a way that you can get behind them and you can support them, even if you don't necessarily have the monetary means of supporting them. Believe it or not, words of encouragement can go a long way for people who are going through the entrepreneurial journey.
Gotcha.
Yes,
I agree
yes.
100% that it's tough being a founder out here, but it's also exciting and a lot of
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we look forward to next week having Diana Wilson on. She's really energetic and so her nonprofit. She has a business model just like a for-profit company, and so it's just learning what you have to go through and compete, and take advantage of these opportunities. Because John, you were saying, where's all this money that was set aside for these founders? It's actually set aside in a lot of these programs that are out there free, and a lot of these accelerator programs, a lot of these pitch competitions, a lot of these venture capital firms. The money is out there, and just like you were saying, Jessica's in this program at Cornell, which is funded by Bank of America, who put up $1 billion. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Isn't that something? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you just it's out there. So the question is, our founders here, and we need to train more founders here in Northwest Florida to take advantage of these opportunities, that are out there. And I don't know what the founders are waiting on. When I see 50 Black men getting 100,000 each from Google and don't have to give up any equity, and I see 50 Latino founders, same thing, and then Amazon, you name it, all these founders, that are getting in these programs and getting the money, and it's only because they're doing their learning how to pitch their idea, learning how to fill out the applications correctly, taking advantage of all the programs. I can literally tell you, like the program my nonprofit is in with Goody Nation. They have mentors. You can get office hours with all the venture, the venture capital accelerator program. Mm-hmm. It's just there, but you got to just keep working to get there. Yeah, and so that's what's so exciting.
Well, I'm hoping that by the end of the year, Lloyd, we can come back and we'll demonstrate for your audience what the technology looks like. And I'm so excited for the opportunity for people to finally be able to see and hold what we built.
Yeah,
and I think everybody's going to be really uniquely surprised. I'm even though we built it, I'm still kind of surprised sometimes when I look at it. Just very happy and pleased that we're the ones to bring it to market.
Yeah, and no matter what stage you are, you have to get out there and talk about what you're doing, so
That's
so
right.
people know what progress you're making. So yeah, and so, but it's always good to see the progress. So like when we had Brandon on, we had him on before he launched. We
Mm-hmm.
had him on after he launched, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's and start raising money, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's in another program. So you see what I'm saying is it's just
Absolutely.
you can so anybody can see his journey. And so, like all you founders, you have to get out there and be seen so people can see the progress that you're making. I can talk forever about this stuff, but I'll let it.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, Lloyd. I'm hoping I can come back in 45 days and tell you about the 1.1 million that we raised.
Fantastic.
So, but we'll talk.
We'll be rooting you on, and we wish you the best of luck and thanks for today. We'll see
Thank
everybody
you.
next week. And
Appreciate
by
you.
the way, I'm not going to be around for office hours. I'm going to take some time off on Saturday and have some fun.
Good.
All righty, y'all take care. Enjoy the Labor Day weekend.